Manex Golfer here. Today we're doing a wedge comparison between the non-conforming groove wedges and the conforming groove wedges. Let's see which brand and which club fits your game. Hey guys, first we're going to do the non-conforming wedges. There are two brands that have been very popular, especially when wedges were non-conforming, and the two brands that I've chose to look at are the Cleveland and Titleist wedges. For Cleveland, I would recommend you guys, and these are both oil can finishes, looking at the CG15 with the dynamic sole grind on it. I think the dynamic sole grind allows a lot of versatility as far as opening and closing the club face. They actually don't offer this in left-handed. They did offer the CG12 dynamic sole grind in left-handed, but the 15 was not. As most of you guys know, the laser inserts for the grooves, they said that allows for more spin. And as far as performance goes, Cleveland is one of the best wedges known in the market. The next is the Titleist Vokey. You'll notice the red, that is for the non-conforming grooves. This is an oil can 60 degree with 4 bounce, so that's their low bounce version. These clubs are very similar with their grinds as far as versatility with opening and closing the club face. The main difference between the two clubs is the launch. For me, I've played both Cleveland and Titleist wedges, and I play Titleist wedges now. The difference is Cleveland wedges are built, especially these non-conforming ones, which I'm most familiar with, they're built to launch higher than Titleist wedges. The other difference between the two is the leading edge. The Cleveland has a rounded leading edge, where the Titleist Vokey has more of a straight leading edge. And some people prefer the rounded leading edge, so when you open the club face, it doesn't look like you're as far offline of your target as when you turn the club face open with a straighter leading edge. So that's a personal preference. Really the difference is the launch, and I like the lower launch. I feel it's more controllable distance-wise. Don't have to put as hard of a swing on certain types of shots. I feel that the spin between these two is very similar, and if you guys are able to play non-conforming wedges, I recommend, while they are still in the stores, which it's 2012 now, you guys have got to get out there and get these before they're gone. So next is the Mizuno MPR12. You'll notice it has a grind on the back for opening and closing the club face. This club is forged, a pretty straight leading edge, pear shape, not too sharp on the rounding of the toe, the top of the toe there. There is no spin milling or the bumps between the grooves in this wedge. Forging, wedges wear down pretty fast on a casting wedge, and forging is supposedly made to be softer but also last a shorter amount of time. What I find is the 431 steel that's used in casting is just as soft and just as easy to make marks and bend and wear down as much as these forging clubs. So if the debate on durability, I'd say it's not going to make as big of a difference between forging and cast as a lot of people report. So here's the Mizuno R12. One of the cheaper options you guys could probably go with is the Bridgestone J40. It's got a little bit of a grind on the back, not as much as some of the other wedges. No milling on the front, but it is forged. Haven't been able to hit it, but from the top it's pretty similar to a lot of the other wedges, and so I don't expect it to have a lot of different performance than wedges. It's a personal preference, and if you're not that picky, but you are picky about money, maybe this J40 is your type of wedge. Next is the Cleveland 588 wedge. This is 60 degrees with 8 degrees of bounce. So it's got a little bit more bounce than other options, and it's a forged one. So it does have some milling between, they're laser milled. You know, a lot of people think that they need to play the lowest bounce, and for all separate reasons, you know, think they're going to play a bunch of flop shots and other types of shots. When you have a soggy condition, soggy fairways, really light sand, if you're going to use this out of the beach style sandbox bunkers, you want to get something with 8 degrees of bounce, 7 to 8 at a minimum. Those 4-degree bounce wedges are able to slip right underneath, right underneath the ball in the sand, and then also out of the fairway, you can dig right into the fairway, and you got a 2-foot-long divot, and the ball goes halfway to the pin. So 8 degrees of bounce is a good option if you play on soft courses. So keep that in mind when you are buying a wedge. The forging between this and the Mizuno, I would say both clubs feel soft. I couldn't really, it's personal preference as far as which one feels better. I've heard it both ways. So next is the Callaway forged club. That's all it's really called, is Callaway forged. It's not even, you know, it's got a touch of a grind. It's not even, there's a sharp edge there. It looks like it's about 6 degrees of bounce. I haven't read the specs, but based on, you know, comparing 20 wedges in a row, you get a good idea of how much bounce a wedge has. You'll notice that the grooves are very, very close together. With the new conforming grooves, a lot of manufacturers have opted to put more groove lines across the club face. This one is the X Series Jaws. I really like how they have the bounce on this club. It definitely allows for that versatility that people are looking for in a wedge. The grooves are spaced further apart in this club, but when demoing this club and hitting it out on the range, I noticed this to be much softer than the other Callaway forged. I don't know if it's just me, if it's in my head, what's going on, but I felt like the Jaws series, you know, it was more consistent off the face. I was able to get more spin, and I like the launch a lot better than the other Callaway club. So this is a good competitor as far as if you're looking for a forged wedge that has to meet the CC grooves. I recommend the Callaway Jaws. Next wedge to take a look at is the Scratch Series wedge. You know, you go to the Scratch website and they have any type of grind configuration that you could ever want. So you're not necessarily going to find the one you're looking for in the store. So there's that's just one thing you might want to consider if you're going to buy one of these wedges, is if there's a very certain amount of bounce you're looking for, I go to the website and really nail it down. It does have some milling on the face. I like the groove separation with this club. It's you know, it's pretty simple as far as the graphics and everything, and as far as custom options, this and the Titleist are the two best at having the most custom grind options. So if that's important to you, maybe the Scratch wedge is probably the one that fits your game the best. And that brings us to the Titleist SN4 wedge. This is the 60 degree 4 bounce modeled after the T-grind. So it's got the spin milled technology, that's that milling on the face between the grooves, and then it's got the grooves themselves. What Titleist says is that these new SM4 grooves are more consistent than the original condition of competition grooves that were output in 2011. So if you're debating between the 2011 CC version and the SM4, the SM4 is, according to Titleist, a much better option. I've always trusted, well, not always. I used to be a Cleveland wedge guy, and Titleist converted me to a Vokey guy. That's the type of wedge that I'm going to be playing for the foreseeable future. I feel that the trajectory of this club is the best in the market. It's very consistent. Cast manufacturing is very soft. They wear down just as much as any other wedge, so it's not about durability when I talk about cast. But I just feel that, you know, the leading edge that they've built and the grinds that they've built, that it maximizes the performance of my game. I have a lot of shots that I can pick from, and you know, I play the TVDs, so I'm thinking about sticking with the TVDs. They don't make a 60-degree 4-bounce left-handed club. That might be in consideration next time I replace my wedges, but I'm sticking with the TVDs this year for sure. As far as oil can versus the regular satin finish, oil cans do wear down. They can give you more of a rustic look late in the season if you buy them, you know, early in the season like right now. So if you like that look, some people do, that might be the way to go. Some people say that oil can spins more than the regular satin finish, and I don't believe it. I think that there's the people that you hear that from are the ones that don't put launch monitor stats up. They've had the oil can finish and they've maybe done well with it, but they don't have any actual data or numbers to go off of to come up with their it spins more because it's oil can finish argument. I think raw finishes do spin more, but oil can finishes do not. Some people like to take the finish off and make this a raw club. The way you do that is with soaking it in Coca-Cola and then scrubbing it down with a wire brush. That'll take the finish off. Sure makes the club look like you've had it for a couple years, even if you bought it yesterday. And so you may not want to make something you just spent, you know, 150 bucks on or 130 bucks. These are $129.99. $130 club look like it's worth 10 bucks. But those raw finishes are said to have a rougher surface, so therefore they spin the ball more than when the club was just out of the package. Anyway, Titleist SM4, that would be my #1 condition of competition wedge to recommend. Good luck, guys. Alright, that does it for my wedge video. Titleist SM4 wins the conforming wedge option, and I really believe it's up to you guys between the Cleveland and the Vokey on which trajectory you guys like between the two. On the non-conforming, both of these wedges are great. Remember, go pick them up. Check out mxgolfer.com. I'm gonna revise the website a little bit. I've only received a couple tip requests. I'm gonna do a tips video on how to deal with high wind, and then I think the rest of it's just going to be equipment reviews, so I'm going to put a more extensive schedule so you guys can see your requests and when they're due to air, and also you can check up on past videos and what's been done. So check out mxgolfer.com and leave your request over there. Thanks for watching. Comment, rate, subscribe.